Hello and welcome to Offstage. My name is Shamanabia and today we will be talking to the color blue.
Hello.
Hey, hi everyone.
Hello.
So, how did you guys start out? How did you guys meet each other and decided to create a band?
Quite a long story, but I think what actually happened is that George and I were in a previous band and we were doing some stuff, and one of the band members unfortunately passed on. And we then had a tribute to him. 4 to 6 months later, I can't exactly remember at the time. And we had a bunch of musicians that all came along to this particular tribute. And that during that particular session, we had a great jam with a whole lot of musicians, and we seem to have just felt a connection with Leon and Timothy. And I guess that's really it, where it started.
No, I just want to add on to that. I was actually introduced to Armando and George by a mutual friend. I was in a metal band with a bunch of other guys, and the guitarist from that band introduced me to Armando and George, and that's how we met. And like Armando said, we ended up at this tribute together. And I also knew Tim for years, since he was playing. Yeah, I think Tim started doing gigs when he was 10 years old, and I remember him from those days already. And yeah, it just happened that everything aligned for us to end up in a band together.
My previous band ended up playing a show with the Color Blue when they were still a three-piece, and we'd already known each other prior to this, and all been friends and such. But it was at that show that we kind of had the discussion that no, I should come and have a jam session and see how it goes. And even weirder, the Color Blue's previous guitarist ended up joining the band I was in at the time, and then I left that band to join the Color Blue. So we really just ended up swapping around, and yeah, so we met. I wouldn't say formally, but we had the formal discussion at that show. Had a jam session after that, and it just worked. Everything just felt like we've been playing together for years, and I knew then and there this is the band I need to be playing in. That's it. It's been a good couple of years since then.
Just to add on to that, that same guitarist that Tim was in a band with, who was our first guitarist in the Color Blue as well, is the same guy who introduced me to Armando and George. So there's lots of timelines here.
That is so cool how everybody like eventually got together and in the same band. So, how did you guys decide on the color blue?
In that same location that I mentioned, we had this tribute where we were all together. We were having a band practice one particular day, and we had kind of just finished, and I can almost still visualize where I was standing. Close to the door. It had a sliding door, just about to go out. And I don't know who made the comment. I think it was Leon. Hey, we need to come up with a band name. And I kind of looked back, and we sat and we threw all sorts of ideas together. And it's just one of those sort of environments where the words were thrown around and it led us into a particular direction because everyone's input kind of shifted that direction into a sense where we kind of wanted something simple, something with a color. And when we then eventually came up with the actual color blue, then we sort of still felt that we needed to twist and have a twist to it, and that's why you notice that color and blue are not spelt in the South African way, if I can put it in that in that way.
Yeah, just to add on, I when I was about 16, I was in a band that, and I thought of the name, the color blue, but I never brought it forward, so it never felt right. And that night at the discussion, I said to the guys, I've always had this name, the color blue, something with colors in my head, and uh, when I sing songs, I see the songs in colors. It's like always been a thing for me. So it had to have a color in it, and then yeah, it went from there where Armando said, let's change the spelling, and it just took off where it's not one color but actually colors blowing, blue, BLEW.
And it adds that interesting factor to it instead of just like, because I mean, it is a great name. It's obviously very unique. And the fact that you've added your own twist to it just makes it so much more exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I can also maybe add something that kind of links the name of the band to our logo, and that is that we really feel amongst all of us that simplicity by itself plays a huge role, but when you actually have simplicity with a twist, it's almost as it becomes questionable. So when something's very simple, you can easily just let it go by. Looking at our logo, a triangle and kind of a circle, you think, okay, triangle and circle. But when you put it in the way that it's been put, it does create an attention, and it creates a statement, and it creates this pause where you kind of look at it a little bit twice. And if you read our name, it does just that. So that kind of really appeals to all of us.
If you really want to take it at face value and just use it as a representation of the music, it's just colors exploding. So I actually like that.
So, where exactly would you say that your music journey started?
I would assume probably through my dad. My dad listened like a lot of music. I think like most people. But no, I have this friend who's left-handed, and he always used to play guitar when I used to go and visit him. It was extremely boring because when he plays guitar, you can't really have a conversation with somebody. I mean, you can musically, but not like with words. It doesn't happen because that person gets lost in the music. I always wanted to play guitar, so he taught me how to play like upside down guitar, and it always just sounded extremely thin. I just always had a love for bass. And then yeah, I think it was Sliver from Nirvana, that bass line, that and Love Buzz from Nirvana, and that got me into bass. And yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to do.
Tim, go next.
Because it's very much of the same story. It was just listening to the music that my dad listened to, and a lot of it being guitar driven music. It's like, wow, that's cool. I wish I could do that. And ended up getting a shitty little like 200 rand guitar and thrashing at it until something came about, and followed pretty much the natural progression, learning slowly but surely, and then kind of turned into something that's still going on now. So yeah, very very similar.
Yeah, for me, I can never imagine a time that I didn't want to do music. It's some of my earliest memories. I remember my dad used to have an old acoustic guitar that had 2 or 3 strings on it, and I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I would drag the thing down the passage and bang on it. Then I started writing songs when I was like 11, 12 years old, and I never thought I was always just focused on trying to learn this thing and trying to write music. It's always been about trying to write that perfect song, make the lyrics fit properly for me, finding a melody to anything that anyone plays. So for me, it's always been, I feel incomplete without music. Throughout school, everyone who knows me, everyone knows that I always said I just wanted to do music, that it's who I am, and I can't exist without it. So that's my story. It's just always been there.
My story is probably related to initially a feeling, which has been extended all the way as to why I do it. And sometimes I look back and I think, you know, it wasn't a conscious decision where you kind of wake up and you say, hey, I want to do music. I don't think it was that choice. I think music chose me as opposed to me choosing music, because you kind of just felt something when you saw a live band and when you heard music and how it just made me feel. And it then drew me in. So I think the element of music did also swallow me up. And from there, I couldn't really afford a drum kit when I was a lot younger in primary school. And the conversion there came when I went to high school, and of course, then was so interested in music that I joined the cadet band, and that became really a very good opportunity that built up my fundamentals in terms of drumming. And from there, I think that it's just the rest is kind of history. So music has always been parallel to what I do. I've done many things, and I think we all have. But the music has kind of just followed next to me all the time. And I think I will also like to use this opportunity, to really thank my bandmates, because it got to a point in time that I mentioned during the start of this podcast, where we had this tribute to a friend which we lost. And when that actually happened, I thought that was it. I wasn't going to be involved in music anymore. And this was kind of a blessing, the fact that we met, and that feeling continued. So we are together today, not because we chose person A, B, or C, but when we had these jams and we just felt one another, and we realized that we don't have to say anything. We just simply have to sit in the same band room and environment with our instruments, and we then just produce, and it all just comes out. And that for me is rather special.
I think that is probably the greatest bond that a band can have, is the fact that you don't always have to say something. It's just you are there for one another, and that goes beyond friendship as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd even add something to that. When we play music with each other, the greatest thing is that we don't have to say anything. We actually know how we feel. I can actually tell whether certain members of the band are in a good space, or in a sad space, or in a bad space when we get together. And that is the beauty about music, isn't it? It is a communication medium that is just there, and you get this interpretation without having spoken a word. And I think the human element in terms of our senses and being able to use speech to communicate, isn't it amazing that we can actually use music to communicate, and it draws people? And it is the best language, because you're not dictating to anyone, but the music is interpreted by each individual in a different way that's meaningful to themselves.
Exactly. Like, I know it's a very cliche quote, but it's like the saying that goes, my music speaks louder than my words will ever do, or will ever. Sorry, the Afrikaans was just horrible there. But that's exactly where it comes down to, is the fact that you know them so well that when you are in the studio with them, or when you rehearse with them, you know how they're feeling, and you know how to be there for them without saying anything.
Yeah, look, I'll say, from our perspective, exactly that. These guys carried me through so much darkness as well. There's been a lot of loss in this. Much like Armando said, he also thought he wasn't going to play again. I thought I wasn't going to play again. 2013, after my wife passed away, it was the same kind of thing, where the color blue was just there at the right time to heal all of us. And we've all had loss, from George to Tim to myself to Armando. And the one constant throughout all of this craziness of our journey has been the four guys in the band, and how we in our own way support each other, and how we know that we got each other's backs, and it's not just something we do, but it's our lifestyle, and it's our coping mechanism. That's the only way I can put it. It's family. It's something that's part of us.
It can never be easy losing someone, but at the end of the day, you guys know that you have this family, and that you can rely on them beyond anything that you
Yeah,
guys have been through. Because regardless from the fact that you guys have been through so many hard times, you still are there for each other.
and we'll always have that.
Yeah, no, look, yeah, it sucks. Loss sucks. But like everybody says, man, like everybody's just been there, and there's just this underlying thing everybody just knows. Like, you don't always have to say something; you just know. I mean, there's this thing also, like, you'll tell people, hey, something's wrong, and otherwise we just know. That's it. But in general, it's fun, man. Like, it's a brotherhood. It's the shit we've been through, and not just the bad stuff. Like, there's been epic times, absolute epic times, and I wouldn't have wanted anybody else there when all those great things happen as well. So yeah, no, it's my chummies, my pala, my brasa, like a boy.
Lekker boys.
So if you guys can describe the band and kind of the relationship between everybody in the band in one of your songs, what would it be?
Can I say that the relationship and who we are in the band is the whole Light Switch album? The whole album is a description of what we went through during our, I'd say, in the creation of that album. That is us uh, playing live. That's us being together. That's us dealing and coping with what's been happening to us. So I can't pick one song, but I can say that whole album is it's autobiography of the band in the 2018-2019 period.
That makes so much more sense because I was looking at the names of the albums and I was like, okay, cool. And obviously, like the songs in it. And I was like, most of what you guys just said adds to the songs that you guys have written. And also, it corresponds with the music, which is absolutely great because, in a way, you guys tie in your fans and be like, this is our story. This is who we are to one another. This is what we have been through. And we are here to share it with everybody.
I think the latest album that you listen to would definitely be a true reflection of the last couple of years of what Color Blue was going through. And if you listen to the songs and diversity within the album itself, you will definitely pick up the happy songs. You'll pick up the hard songs, and they all have a really significant significance and meaning when we were coming up with those sort of songs. There was a story behind all of them. And it's a story that it is felt as opposed to a story that is verbally spelt out.
No, one thing about the band is, and just tying back into the album, what makes it really cool is that I think there's this massive sense of honesty in what we do, like as a band, and that is what comes out in the music. And there's never any preconceived notions or anything ever, like when it gets to the music. Like that's just one of those things that it's us. That's what we are, who we are. Yeah, man, it's a piece of us, a piece of our souls that's out there. And I mean, isn't that what music is about? You know, sharing your like experiences and sharing in general. You know, accept the virus, don't share the virus. If you have the virus, stay at home, use a mask, and sanitize. Yes, basically.
Just tying into what the other guys were saying, each song pretty much takes the listener through a different chapter of what we went through in the past 2-3 years, having written and recorded and released that album while still being a band, while playing shows every weekend, while touring, while having to maintain our work as a band. We still managed to write this album, and the music was just written off of those experiences, and I think it comes across really nicely in the music because there's moments of complete carnage, there's moments of darkness, but there's also really light, easy moments. So it's a nice little journey by itself.
So you guys have been a band since 2014. Some of you have joined a bit later, but why did you guys only start releasing music on or in 2018?
When we started, we were coming from different bands, and we were all going through different experiences and things like that. And I wasn't in the best space in the 2014 era. So it took a while for me to get like show fit and gig fit and things like that. So we decided that we wanna write these songs. I already had a bunch of songs, and that's the Canvas album, and we started working and honing like these songs. And if you listen to the music that we play, there's a lot of work that went into it as well. It's a lot of rehearsal, perfecting it. We don't just want to put stuff out there that's just it needs to sound really good and polished. That's, I think, key for us. If it doesn't sound great, we're not going to put it out. So 2014 was spent writing, honing, and getting everything together. Then we had the guitarist change, and we played a bunch of gigs as a three piece. And then Tim came in towards the end of 2015. Then we moved studio, which means in 2016 we started recording. Well, 2015, 16, everything was being recorded and mixed and put down for the canvas, and then the canvas was released in. It was actually ready in 2017 and released in 2018. But at that time, we really started working and working on it, and we, like Tim said earlier, playing a lot of shows, being a band, and moving into my new studio and things. So then we could put out the songs a lot quicker than we could in the previous years. So now it's a process, it's turnkey for us. We can pretty much record and put out much faster. But to write an album for a band is it's a long process. Full length album is it's a year process. But I'm glad that we could put 2 albums out in 2 years effectively.
Yeah, Shimone, there's another element to that Leon's saying that is also quite important to mention, and it probably puts it into perspective because it is a lengthier period. But something that we're also very proud of is that the albums that we've seen and hopefully you'll listen to a couple of times, everything that you hear there is produced by this band. So we do everything ourselves. And that in itself also simply means that we don't walk into a studio and have sound engineers that are then doing their bit when the band disappears. And if you put that into the mix, you kind of realize that, yeah, that in itself will simply mean a longer time period. But then we do it in our own stride. Leon does a great job there as well.
Definitely. And I mean, a lot of people think that it's quite easy to do this, and it's really not, because taking in consideration that you guys have to gig and have to perform live, also manage a day job and families and whatever else that is put on your plate, and then to actually record the music, mix and master the music, it takes a very long time to do that.
Yeah, just to give you an indication, on the canvas, the mixing on the canvas that I put in was about 100. I think it's about 100 hours on the canvas. But on Light Switch, the mixing and recording time came to about 250 hours on Light Switch. So that's like 2.5 times longer. But we did all of that in a year, and that's a lot of hours to put in.
I'd say we're very lucky to have the capabilities that we do with the studio, with everything in house like that. But also, there's individuals that are wearing many hats at the same time. Leon, for example, will be writing, recording, playing the music. Then on top of that, producing, mixing, mastering. So it's far more than meets the eye than just writing the music and playing it. It's this whole behind the scenes thing that most of the work comes in, and that's the really important work. And I think we're just super fortunate to have not only the capabilities but the individuals that we do. So just to give a tip of the hat to Leon.
So my question to all of you guys, and you can obviously also answer this individually, but who would you guys say you are when you are not performing or on stage, such as Leon that does the mix and mastering? So what else do you guys do?
I teach people to play guitar.
I try and avoid people, to be quite honest. Like, I don't know, generally, I don't know, it's one of those ironic things. I don't like attention, but I somehow crave it, if it makes sense. Um, I'm a very quiet person when I get off stage, I think. Um, yeah, very direct. I'm also tall, yes, very tall. But now I do operational planning for a chemical company, which is also fantastic. Not the one in Beirut, not that one. But yeah, that's what I do, man. That's who I am, I guess.
Yeah, I'm a
Can I could answer? He puts away his red shoes.
I put away my red shoes. Yeah, he got me. I put away red shoes.
Can we just share with the community what it means to put away red shoes, or your red shoes?
I only play shows in red shoes with the color blue. So I got the same pair of shoes that I've worn at every show. It's the same pair. I only wear them when I gig. But they're really fucked now.
It's lucky
I
red
need a
shoes.
new pair.
Or we start a clothing line. We just call it Red Shoes.
Red shoes. That's a good idea, man.
No, it's completely inappropriate. Completely inappropriate. But there used to be a softcore porno, like in the 90s, Red Shoe Diaries. Yeah, just saying, yeah, he's a writer. He's got red shoes, just saying. And I'm also not admitting to watching the show as like a prepubescent child. Like, definitely not that. I just remember the That's it. So don't make any connectations or think weird stuff. I mean, Leon's the guy with the red shoes. Just saying.
12 o'clock on E.
Why don't you, if you guys ever decide to sell the shoes or create and sell shoes, I feel like you should name it the Red Shoe Diaries.
Ooh.
Yeah, you've just coined it, eh? So we'll do that. We'll do the Red Shoe Diaries.
These shoes were made for what?
Could actually, when I do autobiography one day, it could be the Red Shoe Diaries, but then everybody would buy it for the wrong reasons.
Dude, sex sells. And it's probably going to be like a bunch of 40-year-olds, like roughly 40, 50-year-old oaks, like, oh, I remember this show. It was one of my favorites. And then it's actually a band.
Leon, would you say that that is what it means to put away your red shoes? Or were you also part of the cast and crew of the Red Shoe Diaries?
No, I wasn't. I think I continue the legacy now by wearing the red shoes on stage. So yeah, it's just a comfort thing, man. Don't know
It's all
why.
about comfort.
It's all about comfort.
Cool. And Armando, what do you do when you are not performing?
I'm a busy guy. I'm really a busy dude, and I think my bandmates actually realize that. I'm in the corporate world. I work for a multinational company, and I have a long background with the same company. I have a very technical background. That's also some of the other skills that we use in the band, like when we are live on stage and George is jumping around and drops his amp, and then I'll come along and fix it. So I have that sort of background, and I also look after many hats, should I rather put it in that way, in many roles within the company, and also involved in the consumer care and the operational environment. And on the consumer care, I lead the consumer care for the African continent. So that really means that I'm a busy dude. So when I get into that band room with these dudes, it's it's really just a moment that is so special to create that balance. So I trust that answers the question pretty
You
well.
got blue shoes.
And I don't put my red shoes
So,
away.
Armando, would you say for yourself that it
Hey.
is not difficult, but it is, I don't really know how to put it, but it is something else for you to be in a corporate world and so busy, and then on weekends just to perform and kind of wear a different hat, as you said?
Yes, in fact, I've even had quite a number of people that have clearly, come through to watch us live, and they find it quite remarkable, though, that who I am in the corporate world, they would have never guessed that's who I am, on that stage, and that's what is absolutely remarkable, is that. I don't know, maybe I'm schizophrenic or something like that. But it for me, and I think the bandmates will certainly vouch for this. I apply a tremendous amount of focus when I try to do something. So when I'm in the corporate world, then there is no music, and I'm completely muted, and the WhatsApp group's probably going mad, and they don't hear from me because I'm extremely focused in what I do. But then when I flip the coin and get into the band, and I'm with these awesome dudes, then the creativity element comes out in a completely different way, and that expression is very different. And I must really emphasize how important that is for me, because it creates that balance, because they are two completely different things. But by the same token, and I think these lads can vouch for that, I'm certainly not, I certainly don't bring the corporate senior managerial role into the band. So have to make that switch.
But I also think to touch on like the whole serious part, like yes, we do mess around a lot, and there are certain times we rock up to shows and like we have a lot of fun. But as soon as we know we have to start performing, like we go into a different gear, man, and it's a subconscious switch. It just happens. I for one, I run out of energy. Like I don't have energy before shows. I just want to sleep. I literally just want to lie down and sleep. But as soon as the first chord goes, or you go out and you hear the first cheer, then it gets you going, man. And that's, I don't know, you can't get it anywhere else. So yeah, it's always professional. It's always professional, but still having fun.
even if we're not playing a show, even if we're just rehearsing, no matter what's going on at the time, as soon as we start playing, it's like the world around us just fades away, and nothing else except this music matters now. And you'll really devote every ounce of energy and attention that you have to that music, and it can take you away. It's actually quite special, and that's I'd say one of the reasons all of us do it, because the feeling that you get from letting that music take you to a place that you've never been before, and a place that nothing else can take you to. It's unreal. So yeah, so a lot of fun times, but when it comes time to get down with it, we'll get down.
So, who would you say is the person in the band that's kind of like the most quirky? I don't know if like you can call it that, but the person that's the most free spirited in the group.
Well,
Hmm. Almost want to say Armando again.
yeah, I don't know. I think we're all pretty much free spirited, eh? I think we all, and that's why we get along, because it's a good balancing act. But I think all of us we've got these different sides. It I don't know. It's just the flavor of the week who's more free spirited, or who's more serious this week or next week. But yeah, I can't see that there's anyone specific from my perspective.
We're all weird, man. We are all absolutely weird. If people have to sometimes hear the conversations we have, we would get into trouble. We would literally, people would think, like, get these guys jackets, the white ones with the straps on it. Get it to them. They need it. But yeah, we're all weird, I think, and it's the weirdness that like kind of, because I actually thought about like Tim, and not picking on you or anything, dude, but I thought about you when I was driving around. I'm like, you're actually a weird little guy, man. And I mean, I'm just as weird. I know it. But I just thought that's why I was trying to phone you, because it was like, hey, Tom, I've got an idea. But yes, no, we're all weird, man. Armando's weird. Leon's weird. Leon's weird. That's weird. Almal is weird, but I gaan my back hou. Sorry, I'm gonna keep quiet now. This is getting weird.
So, talking about like the weirdness. So, earlier on, when I was doing my research about the band, I came across the banana challenge that you guys did, which was really fun to watch. So, did you guys practice at all, or was it just like, okay, let's go, let's do this challenge?
That was just go, let's do it, like now. We are like that. People will ask us to do a serious video, and we can't do a serious sit down video where we say, hey, we're the color blue, we're gonna do this. We can't. It always ends up being something totally ridiculous. But yeah, that's why I said the balance thing of having lots of fun. So yeah, that was spur of the moment. There's this banana challenge, and it's like Speedo Fest banana. So let's do the banana thing. Spur the moment.
That was like, honestly, it was really entertaining to watch that. And did you guys afterwards try and attempt it again, or do any other weird challenges?
No, it was quite cold, so we kind of had to put our clothes back on. It was getting weird in the studio. So no further challenges. Just music. Yeah. No, but again, it gets weird, man. Like when it's like Leon says, when there's a video and everything's always so serious. Like, and I mean, look, we're serious about our music. Don't get me wrong, but there's just something about when we have to do videos that just doesn't gel with us. It's always, I don't know, every time there's something different and it's something weird. It's just whatever sounds the most ridiculous at that moment will be the idea. Like, yes, I totally agree with wearing a beetroot costume and Luckies and saying that I love flying flags. I mean, like that's how we decide on video ideas, I guess, you know.
So, the very last topic that I want to touch on is the song Dance, Dance, Dance. So, that is set to be released on radio, or the radio mix is set to be released on the 14th of August. So, can you guys tell me a background story about this? How did you guys come up with this? Because it's already on iTunes. So, can you guys just please elaborate what it means that there's going to be a radio mix.
I'll just, before we talk about the writing, what I wanted to say about the radio mix is, look, the song when we wrote it, or the song that's out there, is like 6 minutes long, and we never like write and say, hey, we're going to write to formula, or if a song's going to be 12 minutes, it's going to be 12 minutes. It's the way we express ourselves, but we also understand that you do get a song that really deserves to be on radio, and Dance 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 jumped out as it's just a lot of people were just saying, yes, this is such a good song, but a lot of people that we spoke to said, and DJs and people that are on radio said it's just too long, so yeah, we decided to chop and change a bit, do a bit of wizardry, and turn it into something that's palatable on radio, and maybe we'll introduce it to a wider audience. So it is the same song, but not the same song.
So how much of a difference can we expect with the song that's on iTunes and the one that would be on radio?
Same song, different sections, and a bit shorter. It's a shorter song, shorter radio edit.
I'm pretty excited for it because it is really an amazing song, and I'm not just saying that because I'm interviewing you, but I really enjoy that song. So I can't wait for it to be on radio and so many more people to listen to it.
Yeah, exactly that, and that's why we thought it deserves it. We need to do it with this song, and so we're really happy. And it's also quite cool if people do listen to the radio edit and then find out that there's a full version. It's like Christmas. You can explore more of the song.
If you guys, once again, everybody can answer individually, but if you guys can give one motivational or quote to everybody that wants to be in a band that has gone through loss and kind of just needs that pick me up, what would it be?
It's something that I will tell anyone, is that just don't stop. Don't stop. It's worse when you stop. Music will always be there for you. Everything can fall away, but what you have inside of you, your voice inside of you, the music in your head, the music you feel, it won't abandon you. It won't leave you until you chase it away. So never, ever stop.
Yeah, the advice will simply be a follow on that. And isn't it nice to maybe end off from our side in this regard, and also linked to what I'd said earlier on in the podcast, when you recall that I said I thought I was going to hang up my drumsticks, right? So never give up. What I would really encourage everyone to do is follow your heart, your passion.
Yeah, you'll find your way. The music will find you, and you will find your way. Even when many times I felt like stopping and just packing it in, and the only thing that pulled me through those times was actually not stopping.
Absolutely, you've got to do it for yourself first before you can do it for anyone else. So if you've got the passion for it and you're simply going to follow that heart of yours, don't listen to anyone else. If your heart tells you that you need to do something, then follow it. The rest of the other energies will simply just come together. So follow your passion, because if you're not passionate and you don't realize and self-reflect and do it for yourself, then there's no way that you can actually do it for anyone else. So don't worry about anyone else. Worry about yourself.
I think if you get to a point where you feel like you have to stop, you should stop. Like, no, I'm kidding. Look, it's exactly what the other guy said, man. It's all about persistence. It's all about persistence and pushing through. Look, if it was easy, everybody would do it, but it's exactly what they said, man. Like, the music, you can't turn it off. It's inside you. If it's inside you, it's inside you, and it's always going to follow you, man. So answer that call. Like, always follow your dreams, man. You've got one shot, and who are you living it for? Like what? I mean, give it all. Like, just give it all, and that's it. But yeah, just a joke about the quitting thing. Don't quit. Like, quitters shouldn't quit and stuff. Like, it's bad. Unless you're like on hardcore drugs and stuff, then quit, because that's not good for you. Like, that will weigh you down after a while. Like, you'll just start losing a lot of weight and a lot of friends. And no, I'm kidding. Don't do drugs. Yes, I get.
Yeah, straight up, don't do drugs. I mean, that's just gonna take up a lot of your time, and it's just gonna be one of those things that, yeah, now it's another thing that I have to do, and nobody wants that. But um, for real, like, no matter what it is that you're doing, be it music, be it anything else, there's no limits to what you can achieve. The only limits that exist are the ones you put on yourself. So it's supposed to be this never-ending journey. So the second you feel like you're at a destination, so that's when you're really supposed to keep going. So as cool as you can make the journey, make it so. Have as much fun as you can along the way, and never stop pushing yourself. And then there's nothing that you can't do. So yeah, just keep going, keep on keeping on.
Great, guys. Thank you so much for this. It has been an absolute honor talking to everybody and learning more about your journey. Because, I mean, obviously, we see the Instagram and nobody knows what happens behind the scenes or how you guys have come to be a band. So, thank you guys so much for sharing your journey with me. And honestly, I'm so excited for the radio edit to be released and everything else that you guys are going to do, and especially the Rockdown Lockdown Festival. I'm so excited because you guys are gonna perform and perform with so many other great bands.
Yeah, indeed, Chamonix, thank you very much for having us on Offstage Podcast. It's been really a superb time, and we've really enjoyed the time that we've spent with you. And wish that all of those out that like the band do go ahead and follow us, follow our journey, follow our passion, and we do it for ourselves, as I said earlier on, but we do it for eventually for you. And with that being said, thanks very much for the time.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And we certainly look forward to releasing the radio edit on Friday as well. And the Rockdown Lockdown Fest, that's cool. Uh, thanks for asking questions that matter. It was a very enjoyable interview for me. Thanks.
Yeah, just stay away from drugs. Drugs, definitely don't do drugs. Drugs are bad. I cannot emphasize this enough. Let that be a lesson. But no, thanks. It was a great interview. We had a lot of fun. Yeah, pity it's everything online. It was a lot of fun also when it happened in person. But hopefully we'll get back soon to those days. And love your neighbor. Kill it, man.
Yeah, love your neighbor. I think it's don't do drugs, love your neighbor. But thanks very much for having us, Shona. It was a fun one, and yeah, looking forward to the release of Dance Dance Dance. Looking forward to the streams. Looking forward to Lockdown Rockdown, and yeah, support South African music and support the artists, support the musicians. It's a tough time, and we all need each other right now. So let's be lekker.
And dance, dance, dance.